We tried to become kings, I think 4 times, failed each time. And finally, in my family, it's a very old family, and I think it's the oldest family name that you can trace from 1280, which is like the threshold. Before that, there's no written records of anything here. But in my family, there was always this legend that you got told when you were really young, and that is there's a killer in the family, and he killed the most important man in Sweden. And luckily, it was 600 years ago. So my father's 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 father and so forth, 15 generations back, killed a man called Engelbrekt, who was the leader of an uprising against the king. And he was at the peak of his abilities. He had taken all of Sweden. And then my ancestor killed him with an axe blow to the head. And then we made 3 attempts after that as well, but none of them worked out. And the Natt och Dag family was immensely rich until one single guy inherited that whole fortune at the end of the 17th century. And when he died, there was nothing left but debts. I've never been particularly interested in family history because the sort of, I don't know what the situation is in Poland, for instance, but when you're kind of part of the nobility in Sweden, I have a weird name, and it's not instantly recognizable as a noble name. So everybody will always ask me, what's the deal with the name? And the most handy answer is, well, it's an old noble family. And my fear would always be that that person would automatically assume that I think I'm better than them, and that I'm snobbish or really proud of it. And there are people who are like that. So I kind of resented having to answer for it. It's not my fault. I was born with the name. I haven't done anything to deserve it, and I'm not more proud of it than any other name. But when I got children myself, something happens, and I believe that's when most people start doing like family research, because suddenly you may get asked a question from somebody else, like your child will ask you something, and it would be nice to have an answer about where we come from and so forth. So I've been aware of this story about this murder for as long as I can remember. So I decided to check into it and see, maybe I can make historical fiction, which is my thing that I do, if there's a good story, of course. And I don't want it to be, kind of trying to absolve my family of guilt. I mean, much is known about the murder, and we know that he did it by all means. But what is not known is the motive to the murder. That is a mystery. And all history books you will find in Swedish who writes about this, which are a lot, will end by saying, it would have been a very opportune moment for a political murder, but it doesn't seem to be that way. It seemed that the motive was personal. And when I started doing the research on that, the relationship between these 2 men, I had an idea. And I thought, that is a plausible explanation. So I went with that. Part of this rhyme chronicle was cut out, but it was found later. And this is the lines that tells of the close relationship between my ancestor Måns and Engelbrekt. And I couldn't for the life of me figure out why that part would be removed from the official story. Because I was always very much from looking at it from Måns' perspective. But then I realized, no, it's to protect Engelbrekt, because once he died, he basically became a saint. He became a martyr for the cause of Sweden trying to liberate itself from Denmark, basically. So everybody trying to gain access to the crown after that had to sort of paint themselves to be the next Engelbrekt. So to protect his reputation, I think that part was removed. And that speaks about the fact that something was off in the relationship between Måns, who actually killed him, and Engelbrekt. And my guess is that that is the case. And furthermore, after the killing of Engelbrekt, Mons renounces his family. So he never again carries the shield of his father and instead opts to call himself by the name of his mother's family. So there would have been no family at all if his son hadn't later taken back the name. But if he somehow blamed his father for the way things played out, then it would make perfect sense for him to sort of renounce his family. So those were my guesswork.